Sitting in sunshine watching swallows dash around. They barely have time to chirp. A big boy blackbird alarm calls. The lilac is out fully now, late this year, but here now and scenting, early summer. When Tricia died, she left a house full of stuff, and it took us a long time to be able to empty the house. We recycled and reused as much as we possibly could. A lot of Tricia's clothes I wore, and then this is her jacket. I wore her jewellery. We discovered 2 whole big bags full of diaries and notebooks, and I didn't know if I would ever have the courage to read them. I was too afraid of them being full of despair and blame. I thought she might blame us, her family, for her unhappiness. 2.5 years down the line, I decided it was time to read the diaries. Pale blue sky, a slight breeze, lambs calling and birdsong. Time to breathe. We found this notebook on her kitchen table actually after she died, and she wrote that 6 months before she died. And we read that extract out at her funeral. And I think it means a lot to me because seeing how much she suffered at the end and how unhappy she became, it's really wonderful to know that she was in fact having joyful moments and happy days. A little plane flying low is the only sound not natural. Oh, and Jake Bug, that's my addiction, music and coffee, but really this summer day is perfect without. The diaries showed me a side of Tricia that I didn't really know about because we got so used to her being withdrawn, quiet, moody as we thought of it. To find that not only did she not blame us for the way she felt, but to find affectionate things written about me was really wonderful. That sounds a bit egotistical, but you have such a burden of guilt after a suicide that it was really hard to live with. So to find something affectionate about me was really wonderful, and I just kept going back and reading it and reading and reading it. Growing up in the farming community was a bit like nobody had mental health. It was never mentioned. We wouldn't have had the language to talk about it. If people were depressed, which of course they were, we didn't know, or I certainly didn't know that word at that time. I regret very much that that as a family we couldn't talk about it. And when we were much younger, we should have started talking about mental illness years and years before she became really ill. Because by the time her mental health had deteriorated until we were in crisis after crisis, by that stage it was almost too late, probably too late, because we had no foundation on which to build it. The longest day is yet to come, and it's looking like a sunny summer. Relax, it's lovely. Cities, even though there are more people there, are more anonymous. But when you're out in the countryside, you're at once isolated, but you're also not anonymous because everybody there knows who you are. Not only do they know who you are, they know your mother and your grandmother. So there's a lack of anonymity mixed with isolation and hard graft, and these days financial pressures as well, which makes it a very difficult place to be mentally ill. I wish that I had just been there for her and given her some space to be who she was, and to let her know that she was good enough, that we loved her for who she was, as opposed to constantly giving advice. There was a great urge to fix things. I had this urge to do something, to make everything all right, which was obviously impossible. I wished I created more space for her to be her.